It might be decent. It might be decent. It's definitely going to be a decent fish, I think. We had a muskie swim by, which was really cool. It looked like it had one eye. I think that is the coolest underwater footage I have ever captured in my life. Hey everybody, welcome back to canalgratis.com. My name is Ben Stone. Of course, you're watching canalgratis.com. And finally, I'm on some relatively safe ice, so I can begin the ice fishing season. I've been super anxious. So to start off, we are on a body of water that was pretty accessible for me to get on. We're gonna be dropping down some live bait, some tip-ups, some GoPros, and hopefully capture some big pike and some sick underwater footage. Of course, we're on the quest to hit that yellow spot right there for a 40-inch pike. Got the bump board with, and hopefully some big pike await us. Let's get the line set up. We're gonna talk about location, technique, setups, everything in between. Let's get to it. So not only am I on pretty thin ice today, but I'm also going to be focusing my search on some very shallow water. In a number of my videos, I've spoken about the importance of recognizing that not every lake is built the same as any other lake. In my case, this lake's weeds do not go out very deep. So I am in probably 3 or 4 feet of water, which might sound pretty shallow to some people, but in this scenario, this is the only spot where there are green weeds. So I'm going to focus my search up in this very shallow water, because the rest of the lake is just going to be barren sand bottom. These weeds are going to be holding the oxygen and the bait fish that these pike are going to be preying on. So we're going to get our first line set up here. I'm also going to be running 2 totally different setups. We're going to be focusing our search with a product that is new to me, that being the Finicky Fooler, and the other one we're going to be using is an iFish Pro tip up, which is a device you guys have already seen on this channel. Hopefully some big pike await us. Let's get our line set, and hopefully this flag will be back up and running soon. One thing I really want to throw out there really quick is that when you are running 2 lines, aka 2 tip-ups, you have the opportunity to utilize a lot of space with those 2 lines. It gives an angler an opportunity to fish relatively different spots in the same area. But on the flip side to that, it also gives you the opportunity to more thoroughly fish one specific spot. And in my case, that's exactly what I'm doing. This patch of green weeds was one of the only patches that I was able to find with a pretty far span. We just had our first leg pop, so I will continue on that in a second. Let's go catch our fish. The first line to go is the iFish Pro. And we're hooked up. Our first fish seems to be... we missed him. Hopefully the underwater footage was able to capture something. You can't win them all. Let's get our sucker back down there and hopefully get ourselves another fish. So as I was saying before that fish interrupted, is on the flip side to having our lines spread very far apart in 2 completely separate areas, instead I'm using both of my lines in a very close proximity to focus in on this one clump of weeds I found. The reason why that's important and effective in this scenario is because if this is one of the only patches of good weeds in this vast area, that means the majority of fish are going to be concentrated on this clump of weeds. So there's going to be a lot of fish moving in and out. So that's the basic rundown of the location I'm fishing. It didn't take long for that first flag to pop, so let's hope there's more to follow. Nope. I was watching the footage on the other camera and this one's going. Hooked up. Doesn't feel giant yet. It's got some weight to it. He's coming at me now. It might be decent. It might be decent. It's definitely going to be a decent fish, I think. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's a decent fish. Not a bad one. There we go. First pike of the evening. Not a giant, but still not a bad fish either. We'll get this guy back. It's good to be back on the ice. Hopefully got some bigger fish waiting for us, but of course, I will take that fish any day of the week. Well, very briefly, I just played back that underwater footage from the fish we just caught, and oh my God, I think that is the coolest underwater footage I have ever captured in my life. That fish engulfed that sucker facing directly at the camera. What's even cooler is I captured that at 120 frames per second, so really gonna be able to slow that down. So far though, 2 pretty cool strikes, 1 fish landed. Just got to be more, right? There's got to be more. So on the surface, it has been slow, but beneath the surface, we've had quite a few pike checking out our bait down there. Unfortunately, none committing, but it is cool to pick out those GoPros and actually see that there are fish constantly moving through the area, checking out those suckers. In the one case, we had the same fish that did 3 or 4 loops on the sucker. I could tell it's the same fish because part of its gill raker was kind of sticking out of its gill. Nonetheless, it's really cool. I am always fascinated by what happens underneath the ice. You just don't get the opportunity to see that unless, of course, you put down the GoPros or an underwater camera. Any second now, it's gonna start raining and sleeting, kind of a mixed hybrid. The wind's gonna pick up, it's already pretty windy, but quite possibly that might kind of throw these fish into a more active mode or just shut them off altogether. We're gonna keep the lines out. We know there's fish down there. Hopefully it's a matter of time until we get another opportunity. Well, as you can tell, I set my shelter up because the wind is gusting up to 20 miles an hour right now. On top of that, we have potentially a big rain sleet storm coming in. So it's gonna get pretty nasty out here within a couple hours, I think. Prefrontal conditions, hopefully, are gonna produce ourselves at least one big bite today. So let's get our lines back in, hopefully get a fish. Oops, that's what I'm doing. It's going. Hooked up. Feels decent. And I think it's off. 0 for 2 on this one again. I think he just got me in some weeds. All right, well, let's get this line set and get back to it. Oh, I just watched the other foot pop. It's going. It's just dead weight. There's a head shake. Oh, it's not a bad one. It's not a bad one. It's a decent fish. Really stout one. All right, on the board again. Not a long one. Nice stout, big belly on him. We'll get this fish back. Bye-bye. So while the action has been a little bit more slow above the ice, beneath the ice there has been a lot of activity. I was surprised to play back some footage and see not one, but a few largemouth bass swimming by, including one really nice fish. There aren't a lot of bass in this lake, so it is really cool to see those fish in the area where my tip-ups are. I hope I get the opportunity to get one of those guys to bite. But perhaps more notably, we had a muskie swim by, which was really cool. It looked like it had one eye. Of course, muskies aren't in season, and muskies aren't even supposed to be in this lake, so that is a cool sight for sure to have swimming by and capture on the GoPro. I'm hoping to get one more opportunity to land a fish yet this evening. Hopefully that doesn't await us too long. All right, we got ourselves a flag. Line's just kind of staying put right now. I think the fish is still on though. Yep. There we go. On the board again. About the same size, but I have seen some big fish down there. We'll get this guy back in the water. Well guys, it is absolutely died out here. It's been about 2 hours since our last piece of action and been checking the footage religiously on the underwater cameras, and there hasn't even been anything looking at our bait except for bluegills. So it's getting really nasty out. The wind has picked up quite a bit and now it is freezing rain. So I think I'm gonna call it here. Obviously, we saw a lot of promising stuff underneath the ice. So the plan is to yet again get back out here, and if there's anything you guys want me to cover in a video this winter, be sure to let me know. With all of that out of the way, really appreciate you guys watching. Super excited to be back out here on the ice. Please subscribe if you aren't already, and I will see you guys in the next one.